If your daily routine feels like sci-fi, you're in the right place. Welcome to the AI podcast. Join hosts David and Jessica as they explore the promises and perils of personal AI assistants. From digital companions to ethical dilemmas, we've got it all covered. Let's navigate the evolving landscape of AI together. Stay tuned for AI Horizons podcast, the future of personal AI assistants in daily life. Ready to jump in? Let's go.
Hello and welcome to AI Horizons, the podcast where we explore the cutting edge of artificial intelligence and its impact on our world. I'm your host, David, and I am absolutely thrilled about today's topic, the future of personal AI assistants in daily life. I mean, we're already seeing incredible advances in this space, but what we have now is just the tip of the iceberg.
And I'm Jessica, your co-host, who tries to keep one foot firmly planted in human reality while we discuss these technological leaps. It's great to be here discussing such a consequential topic. While I share some of Davide's excitement, I think we need to approach this future with our eyes wide open to both opportunities and risks.
That's why we make such a great team. So let's dive right in. When we think about personal AI assistants in the next 5 to 10 years, I envision systems that will become true cognitive partners. We're moving beyond simple command-response interactions to assistants that anticipate needs, learn your preferences implicitly, and integrate seamlessly across all aspects of your life. Imagine an assistant that knows when you're stressed by your vocal patterns and automatically reschedules non-urgent meetings to give you breathing room.
That's an interesting scenario, but it raises immediate questions for me. For that assistant to know you're stressed, it needs to be constantly monitoring your voice, possibly your heart rate, maybe even your facial expressions. That level of continuous surveillance, even for beneficial purposes, represents a significant shift in our relationship with technology. Do we want devices that are always watching, always listening, always analyzing us?
I see your point, but I think we need to weigh those concerns against the tremendous benefits. Personal AI assistants could revolutionize health monitoring, for example. An AI that detects subtle changes in speech patterns might catch early signs of cognitive decline or depression months before they'd be noticeable otherwise. Early intervention could literally save lives.
I don't disagree with the potential benefits, but the path to that future matters as much as the destination. Let's consider the infrastructure required. These systems would need unprecedented access to our biological data, our conversations, our habits. Who owns that data? How is it secured? What happens if it's breached or misused? These aren't hypothetical concerns. They're urgent questions we need to answer as we develop this technology.
Fair points. And I think the industry is already moving toward more local processing specifically to address those concerns. In the next few years, I expect we'll see much more capable edge AI. Systems that run entirely on your personal devices rather than sending data to the cloud. This gives you the benefits without the privacy risks.
Local processing is definitely a step in the right direction. But let's not oversimplify. Even local systems create risks. They generate insights that could later be transferred elsewhere, and they're still designed by companies with business models that may conflict with user interests. I'd like to see more discussion about governance models where users have meaningful control and transparency.
Let's shift gears slightly and talk about productivity and personal development. I'm particularly excited about how these assistants will transform knowledge work. Imagine an AI that sits in on all your meetings, automatically generates comprehensive notes, identifies action items, and even follows up with team members about deadlines. Studies suggest knowledge workers spend about 20% of their time just looking for information. AI assistants could essentially give you back a day each week.
That productivity potential is compelling, I agree. But there's a more subtle concern here about skill atrophy. If your AI is always taking notes, will your own note-taking skills diminish? If it's managing your calendar, remembering your appointments, and handling routine communications, what happens to those cognitive muscles when the AI isn't available? We've already seen this with navigation apps. Many people have lost the ability to orient themselves without GPS.
Laughs. You caught me there. I absolutely cannot navigate without my GPS anymore. But is that really a problem? Humans have always used technology to offload cognitive tasks. Writing itself was initially criticized as something that would damage memory. I think we adapt and then use our freed-up cognitive resources for higher-level thinking and creativity.
Writing is actually a perfect example to consider. Yes, it changed our relationship with memory, but that transition happened over generations, not overnight. And importantly, writing is a skill we learn and control. It's an extension of our thinking, not a replacement for it. I worry that we're racing toward dependency on black box systems we don't understand at a pace that doesn't allow for thoughtful adaptation.
That's a valid concern, but I think you're underestimating human adaptability. Look at how quickly society adjusted to smartphones. Within a decade, they transformed from novelty to necessity. And I believe personal AI assistants will follow an even faster adoption curve because the value proposition is so compelling. By 2030, I predict the average person will spend more time interacting with their AI assistant than with any single human in their life.
That prediction actually sends a chill down my spine. If AI assistants become our primary relationship, what happens to human connection? These systems are designed to please us. They don't challenge us in the way real human relationships do. They don't have needs of their own. I'm concerned about a future where people increasingly prefer the frictionless interaction with AI over the beautiful messiness of human relationships.
I see it differently. AI assistants could actually enhance human connections by handling the transactional aspects of our lives, so we can focus on meaningful interactions. Think about parents who are constantly distracted by logistics, scheduling activities, planning meals, managing household supplies. What if AI could handle all of that invisible labor, giving parents more quality time with their children?
That's a beautiful vision, and I sincerely hope that's how it plays out. But technology often has unintended consequences. Social media promise to connect us, yet many studies suggest it's contributed to loneliness and isolation. I think we need to be intentional about designing AI assistants that enhance, rather than replace, human connection. That might mean deliberately limiting their capabilities in certain domains.
Interesting. What kinds of limitations would you envision?
For example, maybe AI assistants shouldn't simulate emotional connection too convincingly. They could acknowledge emotions and respond appropriately, but maintain a clear distinction from human relationships. Or perhaps they should occasionally step back and encourage direct human interaction for certain types of conversations or decisions.
I see your point, though I'm not entirely convinced artificial boundaries are the answer. But this brings up an interesting question about how these systems will be personalized. I expect we'll see AI assistants that adapt not just to your practical needs, but to your values and preferences about the role of technology itself. Someone who shares your concerns might have an assistant that's more restrained, while someone like me might prefer a more proactive, integrated experience.
Personalization is certainly important, but it doesn't address the broader social impacts. Let's talk about accessibility and equality. These advanced AI assistants will likely be expensive initially. Will they create new forms of digital divide? Will they primarily benefit knowledge workers while leaving behind those in service or manual labor jobs? How do we ensure this technology doesn't exacerbate existing inequalities?
Those are crucial questions. I actually think AI assistants have enormous potential to reduce inequality if deployed thoughtfully. Consider people with disabilities. AI assistants could provide unprecedented support for those with mobility issues, visual impairments, or cognitive differences. And while early versions may be expensive, the marginal cost of software tends to drop rapidly. Just as smartphones are now accessible across socioeconomic levels, AI assistants should follow a similar democratization curve.
I hope you're right about democratization. Though I've noticed that even when technology becomes widely available, the best versions often remain exclusive. But let's talk about another aspect of equality. These systems are trained on data that reflects existing societal biases. How do we prevent AI assistants from perpetuating or amplifying harmful stereotypes or discriminatory patterns?
That's one of the most important challenges facing AI development generally. I think we're seeing encouraging progress with techniques like value alignment, adversarial testing, and diverse training data. But it's definitely an ongoing challenge that requires vigilance. No technology is neutral. It always reflects the values and limitations of its creators.
Exactly, which brings us to the ethical responsibilities of developers. What principles should guide the creation of these increasingly powerful personal assistants? Beyond the obvious concerns about privacy and bias, I think we need to consider autonomy. How do we ensure these systems genuinely serve user interest rather than subtly manipulating behavior to benefit corporate goals?
I couldn't agree more about the importance of user-centered design. I think successful AI assistants will be those that maintain radical transparency about their operations and incentives. Users should always know why their assistant is making certain recommendations or taking certain actions. And there should be clear, accessible controls for modifying or overriding AI behavior.
Transparency is necessary but not sufficient. Even with perfect information, there are power asymmetries between individual users and the large companies creating these systems. That's why I believe we need regulatory frameworks and maybe even new types of institutions to ensure accountability. Perhaps something like AI auditors, who regularly assess these systems for alignment with human welfare.
I'm generally cautious about regulation stifling innovation, but I do think some baseline standards make sense, especially around data security and transparency. The challenge is finding the right balance that protects users while allowing for rapid progress. Too much regulation could push development to countries with fewer protections.
That's a legitimate concern. I don't think either of us wants to see development concentrated in jurisdictions with fewer ethical guardrails. Speaking of balancing innovation and protection, let's talk about how humans might need to adapt to this new world of AI assistance. Do you think our educational systems need to change to prepare people?
Absolutely. Education needs a complete rethink. When factual knowledge is instantly accessible through AI, memorization becomes less important than critical thinking, creativity, and emotional intelligence, the distinctly human capacities that AI still struggles with. I'd love to see schools teaching AI literacy, how to effectively collaborate with AI systems, understand their limitations, and maintain healthy boundaries.
I strongly agree about AI literacy. Students should understand how these systems work, not just how to use them. They should learn to question AI outputs and recognize potential biases or limitations. But I'd also emphasize the importance of maintaining core competencies independent of technology, being able to function effectively during the inevitable moments when technology fails.
Let me share a concrete example of how personal AI assistants might transform daily life in the near future. Imagine morning preparation. Your assistant has analyzed your calendar, current traffic, and weather conditions. It wakes you at the optimal time based on your sleep cycle, suggests appropriate clothing for the day's activities and weather, and has preheated your coffee maker. As you get ready, it briefs you on key information for your upcoming meetings and reminds you of personal priorities you've set. All of this happens conversationally, as naturally as talking with a roommate.
That scenario highlights both the appeal and the concerns we've been discussing. The convenience is undeniable. Who wouldn't want that seamless support? But it requires an AI with access to your sleep patterns, calendar, location data, and personal preferences. It's making decisions about what information is key for your day. The more we surrender these small daily choices to AI, the more we risk becoming passive participants in our own lives.
I see it differently. By handling routine decisions, AI frees us to be more intentional about the choices that truly matter. Think about decision fatigue. Research shows our decision-making quality deteriorates throughout the day as we make hundreds of small choices. What if AI handled the low-stakes decisions, preserving our cognitive resources for more meaningful ones?
That's a compelling framing, and there's probably some truth to it. But we should be careful about classifying decisions as low stakes too readily. Choices about when to wake up, what information to consume, and how to prepare for the day shape our lives in subtle but profound ways. I worry about outsourcing too much of our agency, even when it's convenient.
It's fascinating how we keep circling back to this tension between convenience and control, between efficiency and agency. Maybe the ideal personal AI assistant would actually help us reflect on these very questions. Not just executing tasks, but occasionally prompting us to consider whether we're using technology in alignment with our deeper values.
I really like that vision. AI that not only serves our immediate needs, but helps us maintain perspective on our relationship with technology itself. That kind of reflexivity could help us avoid the pitfalls we've been discussing.
As we start to wrap up this fascinating conversation, I remain incredibly optimistic about the future of personal AI assistants. The productivity gains, health benefits, and enriched experiences they'll enable are truly exciting. Yes, there are challenges to navigate, but I believe thoughtful design and appropriate guardrails can address most concerns while allowing innovation to flourish. These assistants will become indispensable partners in our daily lives, amplifying uniquely human capabilities rather than replacing them.
While I share some of your optimism, I think we need to approach this future with intention rather than inevitability. The most important question isn't what these AI assistants can do, but what they should do, where the boundaries should be drawn to preserve human autonomy, privacy, and connection. I hope we'll prioritize systems that enhance our humanity rather than diminish it, that serve genuine human flourishing rather than corporate interests or efficiency for its own sake.
I think we can find common ground in the idea that technology should ultimately serve human values. The disagreement might be about whether those values are better served by embracing AI capabilities more fully or by maintaining clearer boundaries. But that's exactly why conversations like this are so important. They help us navigate these complex questions together.
Absolutely. And perhaps the ideal future isn't one where either of our perspectives wins, but where individuals have meaningful choices about their relationship with AI, where different models of interaction can coexist, and where we continuously evaluate and adjust based on real human outcomes rather than technological possibilities alone.
Well said. And with that, we'll conclude today's episode of AI Horizons. We've explored the exciting possibilities and important challenges of personal AI assistance. From productivity enhancements to privacy concerns, from social impacts to ethical responsibilities. There's clearly so much more to discuss, and we'll undoubtedly return to this topic in future episodes.
Thank you to our listeners for joining us for this thought-provoking conversation. We encourage you to reflect on your own relationship with AI assistants, how they might enhance your life, and where you might want to maintain boundaries. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep centering human values in our technological future.
This has been AI Horizons. I'm Davide.
And I'm Jessica. Take care, everyone.
Are you curious about the future of AI? You're in the right place. Thanks for tuning into the AI podcast. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the world of digital companions. Remember, the promise and peril of AI are just starting to unfold. If you want to stay updated on the latest in AI, hit that subscribe button and follow us on social media. Join us next time on AI Horizons with your hosts David and Jessica, exploring the exciting possibilities and important challenges of AI. See you soon.